How's it going, all you mentees? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And join me today for overviews of all of these hardcovers that have come out recently from Dark Horse Comics. So let's go ahead and get started. And welcome back, everybody. So before going any further, I want to thank the kind folks at Dark Horse for sending us copies of these hardcovers. All of these, as of this video, are out in the direct market and book market. If I leave timestamps in the description of the video so you can jump around in case you're only interested in one or two books, or all of them, or just one, or if you don't want any kind of spoilers. But before you just watch any of those, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications to let you know when our videos are going live. Alright, so let's go ahead and start. We're going to kick this video off with the British Paranormal Society, Time Out of Mind. Latest in the Hellboy universe is the British Paranormal Society, Time Out of Mind. And here's your credits: Chris Robertson, Andre Moody, and Lee Luffridge. And here's the back of the book. And we'll look at spines a little bit closer in a little bit. This one retailing for $24.99, and it has 112 pages. So we've seen time and time again spin-offs from the Hellboy universe, and then spin-offs within spin-offs, like from the BPRD universe. We have stories from Baltimore, Witchfinder, and this is the latest spin-off. This collects the British Paranormal Society, Time Out of Mind, 1 through 5. So this is chapter 1 right here, and we're reintroduced to a couple of characters. These characters have previously appeared in the Hellboy, the Silver Lantern Club. You may remember that story, or I've done an overview of it, but just in case you don't really need to have read that, this kind of starts you over with a pretty much a clean slate as to who these characters are. So we meet this young lady right here. This is Honora Grant, and this is the gentleman that is accompanying her. This is Simon Brutenholm. And Simon and Honora are traveling to this little town known as Noxton. He is looking pretty much for one of his, he's like a colleague that he works with at the university at Oxford. And she's just along for the adventure because she's trying to record all these supernatural things. So this book reads like, like X-Files, except it all starts in the year 1910, April of 1910. So what was this? Luxem, I think, is his student or his colleague that went missing. So they go here, and immediately the town folk act a little bit strange. The priest at the church acts a little bit strange. And you know, if you're reading about Hellboy, there's no one you can really trust. So you learn through these pages about the whole town, talking about the Gray Man and worshiping the Gray Man. And what exactly is the Gray Man? Does the Gray Man have anything to do with the disappearance of Simon's colleague? And does the church have anything to do with the disappearance? And what exactly is going on? Well, I can say that there is some supernatural elements in here. There is a creature that is going around through these very pages. So it does take a twist as where it goes. And I like the twist that it went because I did not see that coming. And it's not what you think. It's not, you know, it's not your stereotypical, oh, small town folk, they're resurrecting the dead, or they're messing with people's minds. It doesn't go that route. It might trick you into thinking that it will, but it goes a completely different way. So the only thing is I wish that we had gotten to know more about the character of Honora. Like, why is she researching all these particular towns? What is leading to her following Simon? So I wish we had gotten to know a little bit more about that. Maybe that will be talked about in the second volume. I'm not really sure. And this is really cool. This is a really cool premise. I really love following these type of spin-offs because you don't need to have read Hellboy, you don't need to have read BPRD to enjoy these type of stories, such as the case with books like Witchfinder. So, let's see. There are some Easter eggs in here, such as Honora mentioning a couple of characters that have appeared in the past. So Easter eggs like that I appreciate because if you've read some of these Hellboy universe stories, you're like, oh, she's talking about so-and-so from that particular story. Awesome. Or that particular series. But honestly, I mean, if you're not reading everything in the Magnolaverse, or I'm sorry, the Hellboy universe, then it doesn't matter. You can still enjoy this book. This book has 112 pages, and again, retails for $24.99. It is a standard size hardcover. All the way in the back, you have the thumbnail sketches, and you have unfinished artwork here. I love this stuff. This is before the inks. And then you have the inks. Now, I can't show too much because it reveals the spoiler or the little bit of the twist that's in this book. So this is pretty much all I can show. And then the cover process back here, including a variant cover from the world of Hellboy. And then what other Hellboy titles are available. Softcover and omnibus and hardcover and library edition. All right, let's keep going. With Mind Management Bootleg hardcover. So I'm sure this will come out sometime in a softcover edition. This came out, I believe, in March, April, but I just got around to reading it a couple weeks ago. I'm a big fan of the original Mind Management, and I will say, if you've not read the original Mind Management, maybe stay away from this one, because it will spoil some of the things that happen, especially in the final volume. So this collects Mind Management Bootleg 1 through 4, all written by Matt Kindt. But this time around, he's not drawing it. Like Pharrell Dalrymple doing the first issue. The second issue is Matt Lesniewski. And then David Rubin and Jill Thompson doing the third and fourth issue. But again, if you've not read the original ones, this is kind of a new beginning for a new generation of what Mind Management is. So this collects the first 4 issues, and then we'll look at the extras in a little bit. This one retails for $24.99, and it has 160 pages. So this is a different take on the world of Mind Management. And if you're not familiar as to what Mind Management is, it's a government, it's a covert government agency, like most of them are, of psychic superpower spies, and it pretty much falls apart when one of their top agents, what was his name? Henry Lime, I think? I think it was something like that with a Y. But anyway, when that particular agent goes rogue, the agency kind of falls apart. So this is set years later, probably about 7 or so years later. And Mind Management is trying to pick up where those pieces left off because of the fallout in the final volume. So this is set about 7 years later, and now we're recruiting a group of new agents. So that's pretty much what this is. And whether you see the return of characters like Meru, who was doing the writing, the true crime writing to see and uncover the mysteries of Mind Management, or all the disappearances or conspiracy theories, or any of the other characters from the original series, well, you might, maybe there are some. I will say this feels very, very, I love the title Bootleg. Because Bootleg really feels to me like you're reading an indie book. And not that Matt Kindt doesn't have an independent art style. He very much so does. It's just that these really feel like independent pieces of work apart from each other. It almost feels like you're reading about different characters. But I kind of dig it. It definitely has a different tone. I will say that. It does not have the same tone as the original Mind Management series did. And that could be because each issue is drawn by a different artist. Could be it. This book does have sewn binding, and it is printed in this thick matte paper all the way in the back. So looking at the back matter, we have some of the variant covers by several artists. Some you probably recognize. And then the game, I forgot there is a game that's coming out, or might be out already. And then other Matt Kindt's works, which we're going to be looking at here. We got like 3 books here by Matt Kindt to look at. Light Carries On is an original graphic novel by Ray Nadine. And this one's here is a little bit smaller in the trim size than your trade paperbacks, like this one here, comparing it to Pearl. So it retails for $19.99, and it has 264 pages. Now, this is a story that at least I've read several times before. It is all about this character named Leon. So, Leon is your average Joe that's trying to make it through this world, ends up accidentally, because he's a photographer, breaking his camera towards the very beginning. So he goes to his mom's pawn shop. I believe she owns a pawn shop right here, or antiques and oddities, sorry, and asks her if she has any cameras that he could use. I love the fact that she still charges him, even though it's his mother, but she's like, hey, I'm an independent shop owner. How else am I going to make a living? So you can find out exactly what he ends up paying. So he keeps getting rejection letters. He's down on his luck, and he's just trying to get by in life. Now, he does have a flashback, or I'm sorry, through a series of flashbacks, you get to see that he was a soldier. He was a soldier for a little while, but now he's back in the civilian world, and how he makes a living is being a photographer. So he goes to the shop and then gets this camera. When he turns on the camera, he starts being haunted by the spirit of this ghost right here, Cody, who's a punk rocker from the 1970s. And immediately Cody decides to take over Leon's body and have fun with his body for a night. All of this taking place in Chicago. There's a lot of punk rock scenes in here. This is definitely mature content, by the way. There's a lot of, not just language, but a lot of sexual situations through here. So what ends up happening is that Cody and Leon eventually develop a relationship, like a really tight bond, because both of them go and set out to find out exactly what happened to Leon, because Leon died in the 70s. And Leon doesn't remember. I'm sorry. Because Cody died in the 70s. And Cody doesn't remember how he got killed. All he knows is that he did not commit suicide. So now both of these young men travel around, try to figure out this unsolved case, because Cody believes he was murdered. And they start sharing their life experiences. Even though Cody's life was cut short, he starts sharing that life with Leon. And as you'll get to find out through here, you get to find out what ended up happening to Cody. I love the fact that each of the characters has a story to tell, and it kind of brings them together, and in a way reminding us that we're here for a human connection. Doesn't matter of race, doesn't matter where you are, when you are, we're all the same deep down inside. And I thought that was a really pretty message at the end. I really enjoyed it. And I love how each of them get to slowly find out about themselves and respect each other through a series of flashbacks that you experience with both of them. And this definitely goes into territory that I didn't expect it to go. I expected it to go one way, but by the end of the story, it went a completely different way. And you can find out exactly if there's more of that connection between both of the lead characters by the end. And we've seen this type of story before, whether it was episodes of The Twilight Zone, and we've also seen them in novels, and we've seen it in comics. I will say that this book really feels like a personal story that Ray wanted to tell, especially when you get to the end, that final page, the dedication page. And I like all the red herrings that are thrown your way, especially with the murder of Cody. Was it like his boyfriend that murdered him? Was it a jealous fan? Was it another bandmate? Like, who exactly killed him and why? So the book, again, retails for $19.99, and it has 264 pages. It is sewn binding. There you go. Mr. Mammoth. Now, this one came out in April, and this is an original graphic novel by Matt Kindt. However, he's not drawing this one. This one is drawn by Jean-Denis, I believe. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing it. But the art is what really captivated me in this book. It is so beautiful. It reminds me of Andre Moody. It reminds me of Eric Powell. It reminds me of Tyler Crook. Those kind of artists, and especially Crook's art in the Harrow County. It's got this painted, like almost, I want to say, like watercolor usage sometimes. It's beautiful. I love this. And I didn't know what to expect of this. Okay, so we meet the character of Mr. Mammoth. So Mr. Mammoth is this character that's 7 foot tall, and he's also got all kinds of scars. He's well past his prime. He's in his 70s. And he's a little bit of a pacifist now. He's the world's greatest detective. And he is there to solve people's crimes. So he gets hired in a new case by this gentleman right here to go and investigate some murders, to go and investigate mysterious disappearances. And it's a cool twist and turn as to, I don't want to say cool, because there's a lot of messed up things that happen to him. This one, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this and Mind Management. Both of them have Teen Plus type of stuff that happens in either one of them. Uh, Whereas I feel like the very first story, the British Paranormal Society, that one is more like teen. But these have a little bit more Teen Plus elements in there. And it's mainly due to the violence. But I like the way that this one is done because it's a narrative. You get to read exactly what Mr. Mammoth is thinking. Now, unlike most of like detective noir stories, what this one does is it showcases more about Mr. Mammoth's past and the secrets that lie within his past. When I first looked at the cover, I was expecting, all right, crime noir by Matt Kent. Oh my gosh, absolutely, I'm in. This is going to be amazing. When I put it down, I was like, whoa, that was a lot deeper. I can't believe I'm. Whoa, that was the reaction. It was not whoa. It was more like, holy crap. That was a lot deeper than I thought it was going to be. This went in ways that I didn't expect it to go, and I loved every minute of it. I couldn't put this book down. This is one that I've read twice now. I read it last night because I read it as soon as I got it from Dark Horse, and I immediately set it aside. And then when I wanted to do this overview, I wanted to do it justice. I'm like, I'm going to talk about it. But then I thought the more I talked about it, the more it's going to reveal what this book is about. So instead, I'm just going to show you the art and just give you the pitch and promise you there's twists and turns. And also give this book the near mint condition seal of approval because, like I said, holy crap, I did not expect it to go in the route that it did. It's definitely a character study about this guy that's broken and well past his prime, and he is still as good a detective as he was back in his younger days. And what does this new case have to do with his past? Oh, man. So good. And I kind of want more, even though this wraps up nicely. I kind of want to have more adventures with Mr. Mammoth, maybe when he was younger. That would be awesome. But this one here retails for $29.99, sorry. And has 112 pages. And it is that time of the video where we check out all of the spines from these books that have come out recently from Dark Horse Comics. And also that time of the video where I remind people to smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. Seriously, thank you folks that do that. That like button goes a long way for us, and it's a small thing you can do to support the channel. Alright, let's continue with the overviews. Next up is the Madman Universe Library, Volume 4. So here we have a new piece from Mike Allred, and Michael Allred, Laura Allred, and others. And then the spine of the book right there. And then the back of the book retailing for $99.99, like the other Madman Library editions. So this does have a dust jacket, and much like the other Madman Library editions, it has the exact same look underneath the dust jacket, as the dust jacket does. But the dust jacket does have these flaps right here that give you a bio on Michael and Laura Allred, and then the character of It Girl right there. Alright, this one here, like all the other books so far, sewn binding. The big difference, of course, is a red ribbon. I love when books come with ribbons. Alright, let's go ahead and crack this book open and check out the artwork and talk a little bit about the stories collected in here. Okay, got, again, these beautiful end sheets right here. And the Madman logo. And then, of course, the breakdown of what's collected in here with all the one-shots like It Girl and Spaceman and Mr. Gum. And then Madman Atomic Comics 1 through 17. And then who worked on each of these issues. Basically, you know, you're looking at Mike Allred and Laura Allred on the main issues of Madman Atomic Comics. This one here is stuff I've never read. Because this is, I believe, and please, if you've read these and you've owned these, this is during the Image era of Madman. So the one shots, for the most part, are all written by Mike Allred. There's a couple backup stories, one featuring It Girl here, the other one featuring Spaceman, and then Mr. Gum. I believe Spaceman is drawn by him. It's actually, oh, look at that. Yes, this one here. It's actually drawn by Mike Allred. I love all the Easter eggs and guest stars because at this time Mike was one of the most independent comics being published out there. So people were like, yeah, sure, you can use my character. That's great. And these library editions have collected everything. All right. There are no extras in the back. All of the extras are done on the opposite side of the standard edition covers, whether it's variant covers or covers for deluxe editions or hardcovers. So we kick it off with issue number 1 of the new series. This is the Atomic Comics. What I appreciate about this era of Madman, again, not having, look at the freaking layout, the composition. Mike Allred, man, his art just reminds me of why I love comics. I love this medium. Okay, the hell was I saying? Oh, yes. During this time, it seems like he was, especially right here, during this time, it feels like he was experimenting with art styles. So you'll have some things in here that are cartoony art styles, obviously based on different genres of comics. You know, you'll definitely recognize a lot of the inspiration for some of these panels. Some just coming from books, some from comic strips, and of course the world of comics, whether it's independent or mainstream. This is the issue with Mr. Excitement. Such a good issue. So this one here retails again for $99.99, and it has 512 pages. What we need now, I think it's 2 more. Man, so we have 2 more volumes for the complete, look at this, Madman collection. You have inspiration here from Eric Larson, inspiration here from Jerry Ordway, The Simpsons to the Gorillas, just from all over the place. And Mike showing that he truly is a master of the art form. Oh, man. Of course, the ribbon that I showed earlier coming in here. So now we've gotten into the era of, like I said, Image Comics, and he's traveling around with his companion, the Atomics. So they were the once upon a time bad guys that had previously appeared, and they ended up fighting Frank, and now they're part of his team. They're superpowered accomplices, if you will. In this, you get to learn more about his past life as the assassin Zane Townsend. You get to see what ends up happening with Joe from Luna. What ends up happening to that relationship? As do they break apart? You see him forming a bond with It Girl, and it's a really strange bond, especially with what happens later on. But you'll also see some nice Easter eggs here. Like I said, he was experimenting during this time. There's a complete, before we get to this one, because I do want to talk about this one, there is a complete, yes, right here, silent issue that just lets the artwork carry the story. And it's an important issue with the big revelation. And then we get a complete spread page issue where each of the pages are done through a spread page following a particular street, even when it turns corners. So you gotta appreciate, even if, you know, you're not a fan, and I know there are people that don't like Michael Allred's art style, but you still have to appreciate a good sequential storyteller when you see one. This is why I always push the book Understanding Comics, because that really teaches you to appreciate different art styles out there in the medium. So this one is just full. I think by far this one has my favorite art by Mike Allred. And because now we're looking at stuff past the ecstatics, whenever he was over at Marvel Comics with Peter Milligan doing the ecstatics. And this is kind of his own baby, right? Like he's doing his own thing through here. Just when you think Madman's happy, boy, he goes the superhero tropey route. So homages to everything from music to album covers, posters, and then of course different art styles throughout the comic book universe. Just a couple of appearances here that aren't just Easter eggs, but also full appearances by characters that you may not be expecting to show up through the pages of an independent comic. But expect the same kind of quirkiness, the same kind of crazy stuff that happens in volumes, particularly volumes 2 and 3. Expect more of that through here. But this time around, Michael Allred is just experimenting with his already wonderful art style and trying out new things. And man, does it hit. I've really enjoyed it. I think so far this is my favorite volume. And again, it could be because I've not read the stuff that's been previously collected in here. So here's the eye again, 512 pages. And that is Madman. This particular hardcover, the Super Spy, I love the design of this obi. I believe it's what it's called. That's what a lot of my viewers have told me. It's just half a dust jacket. It's really cool because it's almost like you're breaking code. We have Matt Kent's name there, and then Super Spy right there with that gold. There we go. So you can see the the glare right there. Very nice touch. But you can take the dust jacket, or I'm sorry, the obi off if you want to. And to kind of give you an idea, it is glued right there, so I don't know if I recommend removing it or not. You can, but mine is going to stay intact. The only thing I worry about is if it might get ripped if I put another book in the bookshelf. But it is built like this. And I love the fact that they have the Dark Horse and the Flux House logo. That's his printing or his publishing company. So very cool. And again, this will be broken up into, I believe, a total of 3 different hardcovers published by Dark Horse. But this is the all-in-one. All right, let's go ahead and open this up and talk a little bit about the stories. Super Spy. And this is the complete Super Spy, collecting Super Spy Volume 1 and Super Spy The Lost Dozier. And again, the obi. But it is glued right there. It's not glued really tight, so you could take it out if you want. Man. All right. So I said that each book, right, like that I go through, I read, and I think, okay, this is definitely the one people should check out. Well, I've already given away the Near Mint Condition seal of approval with Mr. Mammoth. But this one here, this is definitely one you should check out. From the way the book is printed in this thick matte paper to each of the stories collected in here. So, oh my gosh, these are all a group of short stories. And they're all told during World War II, and they're all about spies. And whether it's US spies or British spies or French, it doesn't matter what spies there are. It's all about just spies. And it's anywhere from Germany, spies in France, spies in Spain. It's all over the world. And it's all set during this particular time. And oh my gosh, do a lot of these you don't see coming. Some of the stories do connect to each other. You'll see characters appear in flashbacks of other character stories that are already dead by the time you're reading about them later on. And damn, did I appreciate that. That was so cool how some of these stories are connected. Some of them are in color. That's an awesome one right there. Some of them are basically just the different tones right here that he's using. So he's not using full colors unless it's something pretty special. Most of the stories are told in this format. However, some are done, like you saw previously, the one in color, in this landscape widescreen format. And they vary, right? Sometimes you have a love story that one of the characters is a spy, and she's built a family with a civilian, but now she has to go back to the spy world. Or sometimes I love the stories that have a love theme to them, because you never know where they're going to go. Oh, you're wishing the most happiest of endings for each of these characters, even though they're spies and they knew what they were getting into and they're trying to live a normal life. But then, sometimes they have tragic endings. So it's anywhere from people with cyanide poisoning, people with guns here, people with knives, and people with secrets about bombs and locations of bombs, and they're all done in different art style formats, and they're all done in a unique way to tell a spy story. I freaking fell in love with this book, and that's why it will definitely make it amongst my top 10 reads of the year. I love the design of the book, too. Big fan of the paper stock that they use here. It gives it that aged look. But if you've ever been interested in spies, definitely seek this out. To some, I feel like, yeah, it might be disjointed because the stories don't connect. Not all the stories connect. But I kind of like that. It gives you a break from reading other things. Like, you don't need to keep reading this in one sitting. But you'll want to, because you'll want to see how these stories end. Oh, man. This is good. This one here feels a little bit more mature content just because some of the torture elements that they're using, I would say teen plus, honestly. Very awesome, and it's a throwback to that spy type of stories. But don't expect many happy endings, if you will. So, but absolutely, I know I've given my seal away already, but this would definitely get one. Now, I've seen some of my commenters telling me that they're not fans of Matt Kint's artwork, and I get it. I'm not one to judge, but if you appreciate a good story, and it's not about the art for you, then definitely check this out. This book right here has 448 pages and retails for $49.99. I know that Dark Horse... Here's what the eye looks like, and there's the obi, the dust jacket. I know that Dark Horse later on, I think it's going to release this book in 3 volumes, or maybe just 2. Can't remember, but they're going to be hardcovers as well. All the way in the back are some of our characters that appear through these books, the annotations, where some of the characters are based on, where some of the ideas came from, and how long Matt has been working on this particular collection. And other Matt Kindt books. This, oh, I forgot to mention, this does come sealed in plastic, but I keep all my leaflets. Last, but certainly not least, is The World of Black Hammer, Volume 5. Now we're getting into the Visions anthologies of Black Hammer, which I enjoyed those hardcovers, so this has been previously collected in hardcovers, and of course single issues. The World of Black Hammer, Library Edition, Volume 5. Lemire, Oswald, Snyder, and Tamaki. The Dark Horse logo down there and the horse up there. And then the back of the book. This one here retailing for $49.99. And then underneath the dust jacket, you have practically the same thing. So it's kind of like the Madman Library Edition. Dust jacket, it's just there to protect your book from getting dust. Let's look at the flaps right here. There's quotes from DC Comics News praising this and major spoilers. Bio on Jeff Lemire and on Dean Ormston. Alright, we're going to go ahead and crack this open and check it out. Oh, actually, while I have it out like this, let's go ahead and look at that sewn binding. And there's what your spine looks like. While I have it open like this, let's go ahead and look at that sewn binding. And there's that eye. Alright, now we'll crack it open and check out the artwork and talk about some of the stories collected in there. Okay, get this open. This one here has 248 pages and retails for $49.99. So it is the slimmest out of all of the World of Black Hammer books. And this collects the Black Hammer Visions 1 through 8. So as you can see here, each one of the stories is separated by the author and writer. And artists. So it is different teams working on each of the stories. So you'll have issue 1 through 8 done by different creators. Patton Oswalt and Dean Coates. Jeff Johns and Scott Collins. So good to see Scott back drawing with Jeff Johns. Chip Zdarsky and Johnny Christmas. Moniko Tamaki and Diego Olortegui. And then Kelly Thompson. That's an awesome story. But I really liked Jeff Johns' story too. Colin Bond, Cecile Castellucci, and then Scott Snyder wrapping it up. I know the series is continuing too. So each one focuses on different characters. So it's a little bit different than like the library editions that have come previously, because Jeff Lemire had a lot to do with those, writing miniseries or one-shots. This is kind of like, hey, friends, do you want to write about these particular characters? So the first one is a transfer student storyline right here by Patton Oswalt, and he writes a story about Gel. And that one's got a little bit of a twist. Then we get the EC Comics type of story back here by Jeff Johns with Scott Collins on art. And like I said, it's so good to see them both together again. Chip Zdarsky and Johnny Christmas working together on this Abraham Slam story. Feels like an 80s type of story right there. borrowing heavily from maybe like Walter Simonson and Mariko Tamaki and Diego Olertegul doing this particular story right here. And then just trying to showcase each of these. This is the Kelly Thompson story, which is so freaking awesome with Skull Digger. It's fun, but also tragic. I think I talked about that one when doing an overview of the hardcovers, the smaller size hardcovers. Then you get Cullen Bunn, of course, writing the story of Cthulhu right here. Because who else is going to write about Cthulhu? And then this right here, this is the David Rubin story, right? Yeah, this is the one with Scott Snyder. This one was okay. And then you have Cecile Castellucci writing a story about Miss Moonbeam. It's a little bit meta. And all the way in the back, there is an array of different variant covers, including this one right here by Kelly Jones. You can definitely tell when it's Kelly Jones. There's a couple of appearances of characters from, well, that have been printed over at Dark Horse towards the end here, but those are kind of surprises, so you can find out for yourself. But those are the variants, and then you have the sketchbooks back here, the layouts, the thumbnail sketches for the pages, and even sketches for the covers. So this is the Black Hammer Visions Volume 2 sketchbook, so they are separated. Character designs. And then the end sheets, which is purple. 248 pages, $49.99, and it is sewn binding, printed in this really thick, glossy paper like the previous volumes. That, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing any of these books, don't forget to check out our sponsors.
If you're in Europe and you're interested in buying these books, definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices, flat shipping rate of €12 for all EU countries, emails answered within 24 hours, waltscomicshop.com, and you can use the code nearmintcondition at checkout and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over €40. That's Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ding!
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of these hardcovers. Let me know in the comments down below which ones you're interested in. Have you been picking up the library editions of Black Hammer and Madman? Are you big into the the Hellboy universe, or anything that Matt Kent has done? I would love to know all those comments down below, which ones have piqued your interest, and of course, any questions, leave them down below. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications to let you know when our videos are going live. We are on Spreadshop and Patreon, amazing ways to support the channel if you can do so. But, more importantly, all of you, stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.